Hello everybody, my name is Cipto from Asosiasi Game Indonesia, a non-profit organization that represents Indonesia's game developers and publishers. Today, I'm going to share with you Indonesia's video game market and how you can use it as your opportunity to enter the market. The title of this presentation is Unity in Diversity, Entering Indonesia's Multifaceted Video Games Market. Unity in Diversity is Indonesia's motto, and it really represents what our country stands for. I think first of all, I should introduce you to Indonesia so you can better understand what kind of country it is. I think Indonesia is a country with more than 277 million people in it, and almost 90 million of them are gamers, are currently already gamers. It means in this data is that they are playing a game at least once a month. In Indonesia, in geographical sense, it's made up of more than 17,000 different islands and more than 1,300 different ethnic groups. And representing them all, because it's such a diverse country, are 20 political parties according to 2019 elections. So keep in mind, not all political parties are allowed to go into elections. So this is just a small fraction of the total political parties available in Indonesia. Why is this important? Because I think it's very important for you to understand that Indonesia is such a huge country. I think in size it's similar to Europe or even to Australia in terms of landmass. So it's a very big country with a lot of different aspects, a lot of different kinds of people, different kinds of financial situations, different kinds of technical infrastructure such as internet speed or availability of electricity. So Indonesia is a huge country, and I think although it is treated as a singular country, it is best to go into this market if you want to enter Indonesia to really understand that treating Indonesia is not, you should not treat Indonesia as just a singular thing. I think this is very contrasting with Korea, where a lot of people have a shared background. Indonesia is, because it's made of different islands, the shared background that we had is that we united in our fight against the occupiers. Back then was Netherlands. Other than that, we are actually a lot of different countries, different ethnic groups together. I think most similarly, you can see Indonesia almost like the different countries in Europe uniting as a European Union. So it's best to understand this upfront so that you understand how to approach Indonesia. In terms of the market size, why it's important to you or why it can be interesting to you to enter Indonesia is because Indonesia is the largest games market in Southeast Asia. And not just that it is the largest, but also it is one of the fastest growing. According to Newzoo, in 2020, of course, in 2020 there was the pandemic, and the pandemic created a lot more growth for the games industry. But still, even compared to the global growth, Indonesia is still growing really fast at about 33% year on year. And compared to other markets such as India and Thailand, Indonesia is still one of the largest, because currently the amount of market, the size of the market is already higher than India. So there is, and despite the current fast growth, there is still space for even bigger future growth. I think this is in contrast with countries where games are already mature, such as Japan, Korea, and America. That the amount of people that are currently playing games is just about 22%, according to the data I shared in the previous slide. So there is still space for even more of these people who can enter the gaming market. And with the advance of technology, gadgets become even more affordable, and devices of the lower end can play more different games more demanding games with higher graphics, games with higher connectivity needs, and also that connects with the infrastructure development. Currently, a lot of the infrastructure is still around Java and Sumatra, two of the largest islands in Indonesia. If you see in the map, it's on the bottom and on the west side. But on the other islands, the big islands, infrastructure development is it's one of the key priorities of the Indonesian government, to provide them with better infrastructure so that they can grow, and the infrastructure is not lagging behind than in islands such as Java and Sumatra, which are our main financial or main trade areas. Also, the advance of new technologies such as 5G is possible to possibly will bring even more connectivity to deeper parts of the region, so that other players or new kinds of players can enter the market, become gamers as well, and connect with other gamers that are already playing right now. And I think this is important. I will touch this again in the later slides, but the Indonesian people, a lot of the Indonesian people are still unbanked. So they don't have bank accounts. And of course, not having bank accounts means they don't have access to credit cards. I think it's important to understand that the financial situation is a bit different in Indonesia. And lately, tech startups have been entering the market to disrupt it, to provide these people access to connected kinds of financial means. So, for example, online payments, paying for games or paying for apps through the internet, something that is just maybe this is something that we've all experienced in the past few years, but for a lot of Indonesians, this is something new, and this is something that banks have not been able to provide, and instead tech startups, those local tech startups, are filling the void. So I think the next one is about the kind of games that dominate the market. I think the data here is not very different from what it is internationally, but the biggest games take the largest share. In Indonesia, as you can see in the previous slide, a lot of the market is mobile-centric, and just 100 games take 74% of the mobile market. That in numbers, according to the numbers from Newzoo, represents about $1 billion USD. So only 100 games already represents $1 billion USD of the Indonesian market. And the rest of it, the rest of the mobile market and the PC and the console markets, they are the remaining about 700k USD. Sorry, 700 million USD. And there are some similar elements in these 100 successful games, that they are mostly multiplayer, or they have social elements, or they are lightweight and well optimized. Multiplayer and social elements are very, very important. It doesn't have to be multiplayer. It doesn't have to be social elements, but at least it has to have one of these. Social elements can be such as a chat system, or sometimes outside the game itself, it enables people to communicate with each other and enable them to become part of a community. So the audience of Indonesia, if you see in the top right side, that's the mobile vendor market share in Indonesia. Android dominates with over 90%. And on the left side are some of the data that we have just recently, that most of the gamers are currently male, and most gamers only actively play 3 different games. So if you want to be part of the top 100, you have to be the market only have space for 3 games at a time, so we'll have to compete with them. And most of the adult gamers are in the 24 to 35 years age bracket. So it's maybe more reasonable for you to target them instead of the younger audience. And 50%, more than 50% of gamers play mainly in localized Indonesian language. So I think if you are bringing your game to Indonesia without localizing them and making the game stay in English, I think if the game is enters the market in Korean, I don't think you have a chance of success. But if it's in English, then you are really missing out on more than 50% of these gamers because they play in Indonesian language. So yeah, Android dominates the smartphone space, as you can see on the top right, and it's mostly low to mid-range phones. I think it's important for you to take a look on the bottom right, where one of the biggest games in Indonesia, Garena Free Fire from Singapore, has two apps, and one is Garena Free Fire Max, and the other is a normal one. The Max is basically the same as Garena Free Fire, but it has improved graphics and other improvements, but they are not game changing. So the point is, if you have a better a good smartphone, maybe in the middle or maybe even in the high range, you can use Garena Free Fire Max to make the best use of your phone. But if you don't, you can still play with your friends who have more expensive phones by playing the normal one. So these two, having these two apps, and both of them are in the top 5 grossing, proves just how important it is for the local market to become part of a community, and that it's important to give them access so they can play together. Even if people have different kinds of smartphones, different kinds of smartphone capabilities, it's important for you to allow them to have access to your game so that they can play together. That's how Garena Free Fire is winning the market, one of the methods. And then next one is the purchasing behavior. So these are the ways people discover new mobile games in Indonesia. I'm focusing on mobile games, as you can see, because it represents a majority of the market. So the top reason why people discover new games is from community, friends, and family. So this is like it's word to mouth and from social media. But then they will check out the games and platform feature and recommendation, the amount of stars available, are the top reasons to try the game. So even if your friends recommend it to you, to the players, they won't download it if the reviews are bad. At least the reviews from the store page. They will check if there is a lot of technical issues, if the game is stable or not, if it requires a lot of space, and then they will only download it if it's according to fits what they want. As for monetization methods, the common monetization such as cosmetics, equipment, and battle pass are very popular. But there is low interest in purchasing gacha or loot boxes. I think this is might be a different kind of purchasing behavior than seen in most Asian markets, where gacha and loot boxes are quite popular. In Indonesia, it's not very popular. I think the numbers are, it's just 1/3 compared to cosmetics, equipments, or battle pass. And this is touching back to what I mentioned. Online banking and e-wallets are the most popular payment methods. These are by far the most popular, I think, followed by telcos, credits. So in Indonesia, a lot of people use credits. They spend cash to get credits for their telecommunication number, which they then use to call or to purchase internet quota, data quota. And online banking, e-wallets and the telco credits are the most popular ones. E-wallets, in the sense, online banking is like the one you see on the top right is an application by one of the biggest banks in Indonesia. And on the bottom right, you can see it's an e-wallet called GoPay from Gojek, one of the unicorns in Indonesia. Credit cards are very unpopular, and there are also people who purchase from physical cards from mini markets, but they are just a small fraction of compared to online banking and e-wallets. So I think it's important, if you want to enter the Indonesian market, it's very important for you to allow players to pay through these methods. And I will share with you some how Indonesia's players are like. On the left side, this is Indonesia's internet cafe. I think it's similar to what it is in Korea. Back then in 2000s, Korean games were very popular, especially Ragnarok Online. I think it was Audition, I think Lineage as well. A lot of MMOs are very popular. A lot of Korean games were published by Indonesian publishers and were very popular. And it was so popular that internet cafes sometimes create guilds for themselves and then fight other internet cafe guilds. The sense of community in Indonesia is very, very strong. So strong that even to this day, you can see on the top, on the right side, those are events for the Ragnarok Online. So because they have this sense of attachment to the game, because they still have friends who they remember playing the game with, games that manage to create this kind of strong community are really good to, really able to focus on that and monetize and become popular. Even I think it's been 15 years or more since Ragnarok Online was launched in Indonesia. And I think that's what made currently popular games such as Garena, Free Fire was really successful in Indonesia. On the left side, top left side, there is an Indonesian character called Jota. It's a short for Joe Taslim, an Indonesian actor who's very popular here. And then on the bottom left side is a community gathering. It's sponsored by Free Fire itself. So Garena actually supports these events for people to play together and create mini tournaments. The prize pools is not really big, but they create a sense of community, like by playing this game you belong in a certain community. And on the right side, it's a president approved esports tournament. Esports is really big in Indonesia, and this Piala Presiden, which is President's Cup, is very popular in Indonesia with a lot of millions views. And all these efforts enable Free Fire to become very, very popular, because they don't just do online marketing. They don't just do, it's not just their game is optimized for the Indonesian market, but they really go to directly to the market, to the people, and create a sense of community, a sense of pathway that if you're good at this, you can move to another level, you can compete on a national level, and you can become part of the community. Even if you're not good, you can become part of the community and you belong somewhere. That's the secret, I think, to if you really want to become one of the biggest games in Indonesia. So that concludes my presentation. I hope it has been useful for you if you want to enter the Indonesian market. I know this is over time, but I hope it's okay with you. Okay, so I hope this is useful. I will see you next time.